Hey guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Dodie, Nathan.
All right.
Hey, good job, Nathan, on the Facebook.
Hey, you know, we just we managed to activate the old one.
Yeah.
So we have all our followers.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Thank you. I didn't know we were going to do video or not, so I didn't do video.
At least we can hear you.
Yeah. Because we're going to be eating.
And drinking.
I like this. I figured out I can be on a Zoom chat and do work too.
Oh. So do you guys don't forget about going to the bank tomorrow.
Why?
No, it's on my
Oh
schedule.
no, that's for Dodie and Nathan.
Nathan, yeah, the officers.
Yeah.
So we had 55 or so signed up.
55, good.
So we picked up a few more since yesterday.
Man, I'm having a little bit of a panic attack because I just realized I have to go to UF by the 15th. I thought I had till the 31st.
Oh.
Oh, well, that's a shocker.
Yep.
What time is Jamie speaking?
They'll start at 7:30.
Okay.
Hopefully Johnny joins us here soon. And
Did you text Johnny today, Nathan?
I did, yes.
Should I send him a reminder tomorrow?
I thought about doing it too, sure. Yeah, because it's important. All you guys have to go on the same day, which is
Yeah, that's a pain in the butt.
because if one person misses it, then you have to redo it all over again.
Well, and I don't understand why, because last time when you came in, I was able to sign mine right up here in Palm Harbor.
I know, but because they've changed now, they've changed a lot of protocols on stuff. Apparently, that's what they tell me. So
Yeah, blame it on COVID.
yeah,
That doesn't make any sense. Like, just from a logistical standpoint,
I know.
that it makes
Yeah.
no sense.
I know. Yeah, they all have to be at the same branch. They get like it's so ridiculous. It's
Well, it's bad enough the same branch, but the same day?
yes.
Really?
I know, because what if you were a really big, like, business or
Yes.
something? I mean, like, you're all over
corporation,
the world, you know,
yeah.
what do you do? I mean, like, I don't know. That's why BB&T Bank, I'm not that impressed with, like, overall.
No, I haven't been either. That we started out with that one, I think, because that's the one Becky had connections with.
Yeah.
Where's Johnny? There.
I love how you answer the phone, Dodie. This better be fast.
I'm sorry. I have had meetings. I have been this month has been the worst month ever for bookkeepers in general because of all the form changes and all the payroll protection programs and all the other programs and grants and all that garbage. They've changed the forms drastically, but then I've had meetings almost every night this week, and it's like, ah. So I'm sitting here working. I'm working on a set of a payroll right now.
Busy. Hey, Carol, how are you?
Carol must be away from her.
No.
Must be away from
Oh,
her
okay.
computer.
I'm unmuted now.
Ah, good.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, we're doing good. Joseph and I are both here. We've been out of town for a week. 90th birthday party.
Oh, whoa.
So we just got back late last night. So we're eating and cleaning up and that sort of thing. I picked up the dog and brought the dog over and figure I'm going to stay muted because she's probably going to bark. But yes, we're both doing well and we're healthy, and so far everyone in both of our families are healthy.
Good.
So that's lucky.
Yeah. If COVID doesn't get them, something else does.
Nathan,
Sir.
don't forget to get that information about where to send the stuff for Jamie Ellis.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Reen.
How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right. Wish it could be in person, but oh well,
I
that's the
know.
second best thing.
It is. This is pretty cool. What's going on with Tampa Bay beekeepers? Are you guys?
Not much at the moment.
Yeah.
We have, probably like yourself, been shut out of the extension office and not allowed to have the meetings there. So waiting for the tide to turn.
It might be a while.
Exactly.
Oh, Rain, I'm glad you said that. The other night I mentioned to the board that I was going to contact the Pinellas extension, and they do not have rooms open now.
Okay, about.
No, I had contacted, I told the board when we had a business meeting on Tuesday night that I was going to contact the extension to see if they had any rooms open that we could have meetings at, but they don't.
Oh yeah, no, the extension office is not opening up anything until it is all clear. They told us last month before the increase happened again that it was going to be a limited amount of people, and they had to be all covered with masks, and then social distancing as well. And that had to be all enforced. And then the additional trouble happened with increase in numbers, and there went that chance.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think this is going to be going on for a while, especially with cases increasing.
Exactly.
My cousin's in the medical field, and he said we can expect it for at least another year. He's a doctor up in Pennsylvania. Sorry.
Mm.
That's
Well,
a
what
little
gets
bit
me is
too
they
long.
say, go ahead, sorry.
That's
What
a
did
little
you-
bit too long, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
What gets me is they say now the immunity can only last maybe a couple months. So you're like, if I know everything's still up in the air figuring things out, but if there's only immunity for a couple months, I mean, that's tough for ending anytime soon.
They don't know.
No, they don't.
It's the medical practice. It's still practicing.
One of these days, I'm going to have to try top bar hives there, Reen.
They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I like them. I like them a lot. They
Mm.
don't get as much as langs in honey, but I think they're easier to handle than langs are.
Mm. Yeah, I'm not really into the honey production. I think I'm more into like keeping it natural and
Yeah.
so.
Well, for
I like my horizontal laying, that's for sure.
that's the next box that I'm building. Don't have one of those yet.
I did a lot with my first one that I won't do again.
Such as?
The lid on it is basically a somewhat rounded lid made up of 4 different long pieces of wood, and just sealing that. Putting it together wasn't as bad as sealing it. It just tended to be a little bit of a nightmare. If I had a router table, it probably would have been easier.
Well, one of my roofs, I used the pickets for fencing pickets on it, but I put aluminum cladding underneath it, and then I put the fencing pickets over it. So if it warps and whatever, the water won't go underneath the roof.
Ah.
So maybe you can retrofit it with that. Put an aluminum cladding or something underneath it.
Well, I got it sealed, but it was a bit of a nightmare, and in just working with it, I think I would have been a lot better just to have a flat roof, just an angled roof. Peaked roof.
Yeah.
With just a center peak. I've gotten real good with tongue and groove, so that may be my next one, is to make the roof with tongue and groove wood.
It seems to expand quite a bit in the Florida weather.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of it inside. I haven't tried any of it outside.
Yeah. I have a flow hive, and it has a tongue and groove top to it. And that is just a nightmare. I have to redo that roof one of these days. Because in the rainy weather, it just swells up and it buckles over each other. And in the dry weather, there are big holes in it.
Oh.
I got a question. Are you taking us off speaker once Jamie starts or the meeting starts?
Nathan, I think that question was for you.
Yes, I had myself muted.
Okay.
So
So
yes, if you don't mute yourself, I will be muting everybody once Jamie starts speaking.
okay, just checking in. Thank you.
Hi, sorry I was late getting on. This thing wouldn't let me in. We have such security.
We need that after being Zoom bombed last month.
Yeah. Don't need any more of that.
No.
Hopefully not.
I just put my address and name and address and email in, and then I got a text after I did that with the password, but I didn't need to put the password in.
I did all that, but I had to do it twice because it wouldn't go through the first time. It just kept hanging up. But just my luck. So I guess we'll get it going. I know I'm running a few minutes late. Linda, try and keep an eye on time for me. It's hard for me using my phone and my computer and all to keep up with track of time. I only have so many electrical objects with time on them. So if you will flash me when we get near about 7:25, I would appreciate it. All right, so we'll start out with the newbie thing. I'm Johnny Walker with the president of the Pinellas Beekeepers Association. And today's been a wet day for bees and humans alike. They probably didn't bring much nectar back today, but if they had a chance to bring moisture back, they were doing good if they needed it. My bees seem to, and the college bees seem to be bringing back some nectar. I'm not exactly sure what all it is right at this time. I know the cabbage is blooming, and I know some of the palm trees are blooming, and they're bringing back a really white, they're producing a really white wax right now they're building. It's kind of beautiful. Looks kind of like citrus white wax. But they are bringing it back somewhere, somehow.
Whoa.
Oh, wow. Really threw me for a loop.
All right, I figured it'd be easier for people to figure out who you were while you were talking.
Okay. So, like I said, they are bringing some stuff back. So with them bringing back a little bit of stuff, you still need to be keeping an eye on your honey supers. We have found some queen cells. Still finding quite a few drones in the boxes. So it seems to me kind of late in the summer, but they're still working out like it's early spring or mid-spring. I guess COVID's got them all messed up too. I don't know. It's been a crazy year. But there's a lot going on with your hive, so be checking them out. Don't let them get bound up. Don't let them get to where they swarm. Got several calls this week on swarms. They are swarming. So keep an eye on your hives. Make sure you have enough room in there for them to grow and or make a split. We are going to be doing the apiary at the college this Saturday, the 25th at 8 and 10. There's some sign-up slots still available. If you can get a chance, go online and sign up for that on Saturday. And we will also be doing something new and different. We're going to be doing a Facebook Live. So you should be able to join us on Facebook Live, they say. We're going to do something new and different there. So we're just going all over the place doing all kinds of things. So this will be something new for us. Hopefully we can reach more people and more people can see what we're doing. We are going to, I believe, move a couple nooks into hive bodies. So we'll be enlarging their space, giving them more room. And then we're going to make a couple splits. So Saturday, we've got a lot of things going on in the bee yard. So if you can, come out, come dressed appropriately with some closed-toed shoes and long pants at least. Some long sleeve shirts wouldn't be bad. We have veils, we have gloves, and surprise, surprise, it is hands-on. So if you come, you might get to handle a frame of bees or something, a frame of honey or something. There's always something going on out there. So come on out Saturday morning. Like I said, go on, get signed up. Great Bay is still not opened up yet. We're not ready to do that out there. So there's no training days at Great Bay yet. We'll see how things go along and on when we can do something with that. So those are just the right now announcements that I needed to make. Like I said, I don't have a good list of stuff that's blooming right now other than cabbage and palm trees. There's a few ornamentals and stuff blooming, but not a lot going on, but they are bringing in some nectar. So you may need to put, I have put some supers on my hives in the last month, in this last month, and we have put a few on over at the college. So make sure your hives have room to grow and room for the what little nectar flow is flowing. Like I said, they're building some beautiful white wax. I've got to try and get over where I can see anything that's printed out, if I can figure that out. So if anybody has any questions, you'll probably chime in right now. We're not so tight that we can't sign in and check in and ask questions. So if anybody has a question or a comment about their hives or something else they've been saying.
Moment.
Yes?
I have a question.
All right.
This is Michael. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yep, I agree with you that I've had to put honeysuckles on just in the last 2 weeks. But my big question is, I haven't seen a state inspector for a very long time. Does that mean that we don't have to follow the rules anymore, or do we expect her to come around?
I'll be there. I'll be there. Don't worry.
She's watching you. She was
Okay.
just at my hives, what, about 3 weeks ago, Becky?
Yeah.
You might did
We're
mine?
working on it. We've gotten a lot of new beekeepers, so I'm really focusing on getting the new beekeepers up, but starting to get with those that need renewals again. So don't worry, I'll be there. I did want to make a comment, if I may. I just recently have been seeing a lot of hive beetles, and probably just within the last 2 weeks have seen more than I would like of hive beetle slime outs in their hives, that the bees have actually killed out the beetles have actually killed out the hives. So if you don't have some treatment in and you've got some hive beetles, you might want to definitely take a look at doing something for those. They seem to be really bad this year.
So there's several things you can do. Real non-invasive. They make a beetle trap that you can drop in the top frames of your hives and put a little oil, a little vegetable oil or olive oil in it, just about a quarter full in the very bottom. And they work very well, and they're non-toxic, and the bees can't get into the oil from the way the cover's made on it. The only thing you have to be careful is don't pick your honey super up and tilt it on its end. The oil will run out of them. So just be careful with that if you're putting them on there. Just stack your honey supers flat.
Johnny?
Yes.
Linda here. Larry has a question. Can I take a 10-year-old on Saturday to watch for the a teaching day, I think is what he means.
I got to tell you, we've had younger children out there at that ages, and so everybody's kids are a little different, but we've had some that were a little younger than that probably acted a lot older than that. So they were actually really good. So, I mean, as long as they're not too hyper and flailing around, they'll do fine out there. So you're welcome to bring them.
There's another question in the chat box. John, do you know how to check the chat box, or do you want me to just interrupt?
No, keep going, because I was on
Okay.
it. I was trying to find it earlier, and I'm not now.
Okay. Question from Ryan regarding the process for renewals. I guess yearly renewals. This one's directed at Becky.
In the chilling already?
Well, Becky was
And
on.
you're muted.
It's already hot.
Becky,
All right, I'm unmuted.
unmute Becky.
I am working on
Becky
it.
Deneen.
Okay, good. I was just typing something back, but I'll just share with everybody. You are sent an email 2 months in advance of your anniversary date. So watch for your emails. If you've changed your emails or you haven't received anything, if it's 2 months before your anniversary date, to pay your annual renewals. As far as the inspection goes, you may not be on the same schedule as your regular annual renewal. Those aren't always coincide with the same date. So we are trying to get to everyone annually now to do your inspection, but it may not necessarily be annually. So I will try to get to you as soon as possible. If you feel like you would like to have an inspection and it's been over a year, you can also email me and we'll see if we can try to get you sooner.
Okay.
And I will tell you with the inspector, if you are inspecting your hives and you see something that you're not sure about, give her a call, text her, send her a photo. She's a wealth of knowledge user. She's got it. She will get it done, or she will find out and let you know. She doesn't always have to come see what's going on. If you can send her a photo or call her and describe what's going on.
I will send that because I did just that this week. And thank you, Becky.
You're welcome.
I believe Scott has a question. Scott, are you there?
Hey, yeah, how's it going, everyone?
All right, there you go.
I just typed my question into the box, but I'll verbally ask them now. I have actually 2 questions. So we recently acquired a nuke, and the nuke's doing fine. But one thing that we noticed when we first got it was that that we were seeing queen cells, and literally the day that we got it, the person we were buying off of extracted that queen cell, and we were, told to keep an eye on it, and we did. We were checking it every couple days for the first week or so, and we noticed another one which was fully formed and capped at that point. So we did another, extraction, and then again, keeping an eye on it, decided with the third one formed with a larva inside, active, being fed, that we would do a split. And so we ended up moving that frame with the queen cell, it was uncapped, into a nuke box with a couple frames of brood and a frame of honey. It's a 5-frame box, and one, just inactive frame. And I guess at this point, we're like, well, what's next? I mean, I don't think we were expecting to do a split this late into the summer. And since this is our first one, we're trying to figure out the variables here. What do we need to look for? How do we even feed this thing now that it's in this kind of closed off world? Should we be dumping nurse bees in there or something from the original hive where the old queen still has been laying? So I guess that's question 1. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Scott. So you've made a nook box with a queen possibly in it, or she'll be in it shortly when she hatches. If everything goes well with the food and the brood and all in there, I mean, keep an eye on that. You may have to watch and make sure you have food on board. So you may have to put a little sugar water to feed them.
Right. We do have one of those. I guess they're supposed to be in the frame, but it's not like a mason jar. It's one of the.
Right. Okay. So I would just keep a little sugar water on them to keep them going, and they should be producing. And then if the queen gets out and gets mated and starts laying, you've got a start of a hive. You just kind of got to watch them a little bit to get them through the next couple months. And then when Pepper gets here, you can probably put them into a hive body or turn around and sell the nook.
And then what do you think about and this is probably not immediately, but now we have we're, in a region where we're susceptible to Africanized bees and all that. When do we need to put a new queen in there, basically? After we have this hive reared and genetically, I guess, Yeah, that's my question. When do we need to think about putting a new queen into this, hive from this split?
So if you get that nook going and it's looking good, I would try and get a queen in it. If your other queen gets in there and gets laying and starts out, with getting going, I would looking at getting a queen sometime towards the end of next month. You get that new queen in there and get her settled down for the end of August, beginning of September, October, and the pepper blooms on, and that box will blow up and probably produce you with at least a box of honey for the fall, and you'll end up in pretty good shape.
Understood. And that's kind of regardless of what the queen is doing in that hive, the one that they've, been working on and growing, and who may or may not be mated and is laying.
Well, if she's laying, she will be mated. Unless you ended up with just a working layer. That's a totally different horse of a different color.
Sure. I guess I'm just worried about the, keeping tabs on having, a queen in there with European genetics every year.
Right. Well, Endowed ordered 2 queens for the fall and put a queen in each one of them. I mean, shipping's going to cost you the same, so it's just a different price of the queens.
Sure. Okay. Well, no, that helps. My other question, I think I already know the answer, but I just want to check in with you all while I have you as my captive audience. The hive that we have, that's a little bit more established. I think it's about 3 weeks, maybe 3.5 now old, has reached that 10th frame, and they're doing a great job filling that out with wax and everything, and everything looks great. And we are trying to time when we want to add that super. The thing that is making me hesitate a bit is they are totally guzzling their sugar water still. I mean, more than a mason jar a day worth of it. And I guess that just gave me some pause. I was thinking, shouldn't they be slowing down on that and, finding their own nectar source at this point? And I know I don't want to leave it on when I put the super on. So that's maybe the predicament in a nutshell.
So I was saying there was some nectar flowing, and usually by this time of this month and next month, it's dried up pretty good. So you may end up having to continue to feed them. Putting the super on is all when your hive bottom's built, but it sounds like your bees are doing pretty well. Are you all 8, 9, almost 10 frames filled out down there? If you are, at that point, you should have a honey on there. As soon as they need room, you need to move them to the next class where they have room. So if you let them get bound out, that's why they were producing the queen cells. Once their box gets full, they're ready to move on if there's no more room. And if you keep putting room on there, you can kind of curve the sensation to do that. So if you go ahead and put the honey super on there, you can get them building, and they need the sugar water to build some wax for that.
Understood. Yeah, this hive hasn't produced any queen cells that we've seen. It's the other one that right out the gate seemed to be doing that.
Oh, well, some
for
do
us,
that more so than others.
Yeah,
they just get kind of silly that way and do that. But yeah, no, just keep an eye on it and get a honey super on there. So when the fall does start, someone asked a question about the pepper flow in the fall. And it's usually September, October, and you can usually get it pulled by about the 1st of November or thereabouts. So it's usually 5-6 weeks that we have a pretty good flow here in this area in Pinellas. So.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Okay. Anybody else got anything real quick before we get ready?
Yeah, I got a quick one, Johnny. I've got a lot of nectar in my brood box, and I put a honey super on about 3 weeks ago. to a month. And it seems like it's taken them a long time, if anything, to move the nectar up to the super. Is there anything?
Is their queen laying in the bottom box? Is she there? Is she strong enough?
In one she isn't, in the other one she is. So I've got about 4 frames in the brood that has nectar in it.
Generally, if the queen's strong enough, she will get going and get them moving it if she's laying down there. But if she's not, I think you've probably either got an older queen or you may not have a queen laying at all down there. They really get bad about that at that time.
Does the heat in the summer at this time of year have something to do with that probably?
So as long as they have space to put the honey, they don't always jam it up down below. Like I said, all the times I've had them jam it up down below, they haven't had the space to put it anywhere, and they start backing up down there, or they have a queen that's not laying well and they get lazy.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. So we'll probably get ready to wrap this up to move on to our meeting. Nathan, if you could get it to where I could be back on screen. For some reason, it's dropped me completely and not put me back up, or just put a multifunction. Okay. So we'll get ready to get started with the meeting. We got a pretty, a wonderful speaker tonight, so this ought to be a great time. We do have a few meetings. We got the Seminole Apiary that we're doing the bee day in on Saturday morning at 8 and 10. Go online and sign up for some of the spaces. We only have about 10 spaces open. If you're looking at the 9th space and you and your wife or you and your kid or something wants to come, go ahead and sign up for that 10th spot, and don't not come because of one space. Don't bring 12 people with you, but if there's 9 signed up and there's 2 of you want to come, go ahead and sign up for that 10th spot and both of you come. Don't leave somebody at home. One isn't going to make a break. We've got a big area out there. We are outdoors. We're not indoors. So we can work around a lot of things. So don't let that be a deciding point for you. Also, you should be able to join us on Facebook online Saturday morning. We are going to be projecting or putting or doing a Facebook stream or live or something. I don't know exactly what it is or how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. So we're working on getting that going. So we'll do something with that. It looks like we will be doing Zoom meetings for at least a little while, at least September. We'll see how it goes, maybe even later than that. Next month's meeting, we have mosquito control from Pinellas County here with us. They'll be doing a Zoom meeting with us. So they're always interesting. They're cutting edge for the state of Florida. I know they're Pinellas County, but they're one of the better mosquito control units, I believe, in the state. They do a really great job in working around and with the beekeepers in Pinellas. So you definitely want to see what's up with that and let them know that you have bees and where you have bees. They will mark you and keep you on a checklist. So you definitely want to work along with that. So I believe it's almost 7:30. I just wanted to say, this is Pinellas Beekeepers. I am Johnny Walker, the president, and we're getting ready shortly to bring in our speaker. Nathan, is our speaker even online yet, or is he? Do you know what time he's coming on?
Yes, he's online on standby, it looks like here. One other thing, Johnny, we did activate the old Facebook group page today. So that's kind of a nice thing. We can start firing up the discussion and things that we were discussing at the business meeting.
So we did kick that off today then?
Yep.
The old Facebook group.
We managed
go in and ask questions and reply to other beekeepers on our page. Cool. So that's something new or not new, but something we redid.
Really glad to be able to join you tonight to show you that it's really me and not just someone else. I'm in my kids' playroom at the moment. I tend to not show video while I'm speaking because that helps improve the sound quality on your end and as well as on my end. There's quite a few of us competing for bandwidth in my house at the moment. So I'm going to put my video back on mute, but you should still be able to hear me nevertheless. And so this is how I'd like to do this tonight. I'm going to be speaking on a topic called, I'm going to call it online resources for beekeepers. And I know that that sounds incredibly boring. In fact, I would hear that talk title and be bored too. However, I've given this talk now about 4 or 5 times and people have absolutely loved it because since I can show you in real time how to find these resources. All right, so let's just kind of get started from the beginning. My name is Jamie Ellis. I work for the University of Florida. Again, it's great to be with you guys. I was telling my wife and kids, I was reminding them what club that I was speaking to them to tonight and reminding my girls that both of them have taken trips with me down to see you guys and had dinner with the leadership beforehand and all those things. So I miss getting to do that this year, but you know, despite how it feels, we're going to overcome this COVID issue. It's just a matter of time. It may be this year, it may be next year, but we'll all be back together at some point because that's what people do. We solve problems. So don't be too discouraged. I hope you're all happy and healthy and taking measures to be safe. All right. So this is how it's going to work. I am going to share my screen. And so here you guys are now seeing everything that I have on my screen. And what I am going to do is I am going to get you guys down to a Word document. So all of you are familiar with Word. I think word processors. I hope that's the case. Now, what I'm doing, I know sounds boring, but hang in there. I promise you'll love it and you'll appreciate by the time it's over. What I have on this screen right now are the resources that I'm going to talk about tonight. So you can use your computer and take a screenshot, or you can use your smartphone and take a picture, or you can use a smart pencil and piece of paper and write it down. Because all I'm going to do from this point forward is show you how to find some of the best resources available on honeybees and beekeeping on the web. Now, some of you may be aware of some of these already, but I hope that everyone in here or everyone listening virtually will benefit. And I know what you're thinking. You're why is he telling me online resources? I hate being online, but I would like to remind you all right now that you're using technology to hear me. So it's just a little bit of an extension and you can find these resources as well. And what I'm going to do when I turn it over to Q&A, I'm going to bring this document back up so that it can kind of reinforce everything that I'm starting to tell you tonight. So without further ado, we're going to start the easiest way I know how to teach this, which is going to a Google page. Now, I recognize that there are people out there who are Mac people and people who are PC people and people who like, you know, Microsoft Explorer, Firefox, or whatever search engine you want to search with. I happen to be a fan of Google, and I'm going to show you how to find these fantastic resources just using the search engine Google. It's just this blank box. You should all see my screen right now. So the very first thing that I want to show you is I want to show you my laboratory's website. And it's really simple to find. I work for the University of Florida. So that's the first thing that you would type in. You're seeing me do that right before you, University of Florida. And I work in the honeybee lab, but it's not necessary to put lab. You just Google, do a search for University of Florida honeybee, and I'm going to press enter. And you see that the very first choice for you is my lab. So you don't need to remember any funky web address. You don't even have to remember any special code. You just have to remember that I work for the University of Florida and I work with honeybees. If you can remember those two things, you can Google search University of Florida honeybee, and you can click on the first option and you get to my lab. Now, I recognize many of you. I realize that I see you on Zoom, and so about 2/3 of you don't have your video showing your face, but about 1/3 of you do. And the third of those of you who are showing your faces, I recognize about 2/3 of you. So I appreciate you guys joining in. The reason I'm saying that is because I'm guessing that a lot of you have already gone to my lab's website at some point in the past, but I want to point out a few things that I think are worth knowing. I, first of all, think this is a really good resource for beekeepers. My team and I have tried to develop this in such a way that you guys could access relevant information related to honeybees and beekeeping. So the first thing you'll notice is right across the top of our website, there is a scrolling ticker, right? If I leave my cursor alone, it's just going to start moving on its own. So if you sit there long enough, there'll be a lot of different options that come up. For example, right now it's hunkered down on the University of Florida Master Beekeeper Program. Some of you are Master Beekeeper participants. There's 4 levels in the Master Beekeeper Program. 2 of them are online. Completely online. The 3rd one will be completely online by year's end, and next spring the last level will be online. All of this content, if you look at our Master Beekeeper Program and see that there are 4 levels, there are over 250 different lectures on various aspects of honeybees and beekeeping. By the time this is built, there will be over 250 different lectures. Just about everything you could think of with related to honeybees and beekeeping will be embedded in the Master Beekeeper Program, and you can find it simply by letting the scrolling marquee get to it, and you can tick on it. So I'm going to use this arrow to advance it. The next thing that you'll see is our Melitophiles blog. Those of you who want to keep up with what we're doing in our lab, you can click on the Melitophiles blog and subscribe to it. And once you subscribe, you'll get weekly emails. It's usually weekly, I believe, emails with newsletter, our calendar, updates on research, updates on bee college, and all the stuff that we do. And you can get that automatically by subscribing to our Melitophiles blog, which again is across the scrolling marquee. I'm going to go to the next one, and you see that the very next thing that it shows you is our podcast. Now, I can't see but one of you right now based on the way that I've got this set up on my end, but I'm curious how many of you have even heard about our podcast, let alone even listened to it. Now, we started recording episodes for our podcast back in October of last year and started releasing them, I believe, the second week of January this year. So we've released 20 some odd podcasts to date. And the purpose of this podcast is to have some sort of information for all beekeepers who want to listen. There's beginner-esque stuff. There's short, people have been working, 10 years-esque stuff. There's professional beekeeper stuff. For the commercial beekeepers who've listened to it, they told me they've learned something. We bring in scientists from around the world, beekeepers from around the world. We interview people from Florida, people from all over the place to talk about all kinds of topics related to beekeeping, management, new books, magazines, the latest research, anything that's on our mind. So you can click on 2 Bees in a Podcast, which I just did, and you can listen to every episode straight from our website. But you can also listen to every episode from the main podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts and some of the others. So I scroll down, for example, and see that online we've already put 26 episodes. The beauty of these episodes is if you hear something that we're talking about that you like, you can click on it. Again, you'll see the podcast ready to play right here. And if you scroll down, everything that we talked about in the podcast is linked. If we mention a document, we link it. If we mention a scientist, we link his or her webpage. If we mention a book, we link it. And not only that, but at the end of every episode, I answer questions from listeners who submit their podcast questions online. So all you have to do is go online, submit your question, and it's going to end up in one of our podcasts at the end. And that's every one of them. We have put a lot of effort into producing our podcast, and we have people listening to it already from over 50 countries around the world. It's incredible how this is blown up. And I was really tentative. I wanted to make sure there was information in the podcast, even for commercial beekeepers that, I know if you're out there, you guys tend to be the hardest audience to reach because you're so busy. but the commercial beekeepers who've listened even talk a lot about it. So that's all accessible just right here from the ticker at the top of our, you're not even having to click on anything to search for it. It just scrolls across. Those of you who've attended our bee colleges, it's one of the things that scrolls across the top. This year, we have polled beekeepers who follow us on social media about what they would like us to do for our bee college, and they wanted it to be virtual. Those of you who filled out the survey, thanks. And they wanted it to be shorter days since it's virtual. They wanted it to be 3 to 4 hours long. And so what we have done is every Saturday in the entire month of August, and this year August has 5 Saturdays, every Saturday we are offering bee college classes from, I believe, 9 until 12:45 or 12:50 or so. So about 3.5, almost 4 hours every Saturday. And every Saturday morning, there will be 3 different tracks: a beginner's track, a disease and stressors track. In other words, that track is about things that kill bees. And then a miscellaneous topics track. And each of those tracks have at least 4 different lectures. So every Saturday, there's 12 different lectures. Over the 5 Saturdays, there's 60 different lectures we're providing at this virtual bee college. That is more than we have ever provided at any bee college we've ever offered. So if you're a beginner beekeeper, you can sign up for the beginner track and listen all 5 weekends, and it'll walk you from not knowing anything about bees at all to where to buy bees and all of that stuff. If you're more advanced and you want to hear about the latest on disease and pest control, for 5 weekends in a row, we're covering every significant stressor you can think of. If you've heard all of that before and you just want to know about advanced topics, pollination, honey judging, queen production, etc., you can listen to our 3rd track, which is more advanced topics. And again, you can register right here, and you can sit down in your living room all morning on Saturday morning. And the beauty is you don't have to do the whole thing. You can pick just a few Saturdays here and there that you want to sign up for. It's not necessary to sign up for the whole shebang, but I promise you, you'll love it. So that's all accessible there. So again, just as a, restating, the Master Beekeeper Program, the blog, our podcast, and our bee college is all just right there at the top. But before I leave our website, the last thing that I want to show you is that if you scroll down, you'll see some quick buttons to some of these quick things that I just mentioned. But the most important button amongst these is this one right here that says Beekeeper Resources. If you click on Beekeeper Resources, you'll get to this page. And as I scroll down, everything my team and I produce, documents, videos, presentations, etc., we categorize in one of these topics and provide it to you. Let me give you an example. Honeybee biology. I gave a talk to a beekeeping club in Cambridge in the UK yesterday afternoon, and it was on the tasks of the worker honeybees, and that's a biology topic. So I showed them that if you go to honeybee biology, you get all of these documents that my team and I have written about honeybee biology. Cape honeybees, European honeybees, giant honeybees, robbing behavior, the benefits of pollen to bees, social organization of honeybees, stocks of bees, members of a honeybee colony, external anatomy, internal anatomy, task of a worker bee, mating biology, and so forth. If pesticides worry you, you can click on pesticides and you get documents related to bees, beekeeping, and pesticides. If you're interested in African bees, you can click on African bees and you get documents and stuff that we've produced on African bees. So again, I want to just quickly show you how to get there. I'm back on the home page. I scroll down, I click on Beekeeper Resources, and when I scroll down, all the resources that my team and I produce are buried under these topics. And also, if there's some special resources that we really like from other institutions as well, we can link those in here. So that's just a quick taste at what you can find just by hanging out on our lab website. So what I want to do next is I'm going to show you the second resource that I'd like to endorse before you. And I'm going to go back to Google. I'm going to bring up the Word document that you should all be able to see now. I just showed you how to find my lab's website because I showed you how to Google University of Florida Honeybee Lab. Now I'm going to show you another very important website called the Bee Informed Partnership. So it is this simple. You go back to Google and you type in Bee Informed Partnership. And when you press enter, the very first option is the website for the Bee Informed Partnership. So I'm going to click on the Bee Informed Partnership. And it's hard not to rate your own website the best in the world. I'm sure our website's not the best in the world, but I'm going to pretend it is since it's our website. But what I will tell you is that the Bee Informed Partnership website is incredibly good as well. There's lots of information on this website, and it is all research-based. It's not feeling, it's not opinion, it's research-based. The whole point of the Bee Informed Partnership is to make research-based comments. So what's here? If you hover over citizen science, I didn't click on it, I just hovered on it, you'll see that they have a topic called Sentinel Apiaries, one called the Lost in Management Survey, one called Mite Check, one called Hive Monitors, as well as Bee Informed Publications. The Sentinel Apiary Project is where you can purchase into a program where you send samples of bees to the Bee Informed Partnership every year, and within 2 weeks, they will write back and tell you the diseases and pests that those bees have. It is a slightly hefty price to be able to do it on a yearly basis. I think it may be $400 or something. So a lot of beekeepers don't want to pay that price. So what I encourage bee clubs to do is register 2 or 3 of their bee club colonies in the Sentinel Apiary Program. And as part of your club meetings every month, you collect a sample and mail it off to Bee Informed Partnership. And when you get results back, you blast it to your membership because they will show you what your colonies at the bee club, the nosema levels, the varroa levels, et cetera. And you can share that information around your club and say, hey, this is what we're seeing at our Sentinel Apiary. You might consider some of this stuff as well in your own colonies. But there are some people who just register their colonies in the program. One of our podcast episodes is about the Sentinel Apiary Project. You guys should consider looking at it. I'm going to click on that link just quickly, but I click it here and you can see it. They have a video on how to, send your stuff in and about all the stuff that they do. So I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but I want to go to the second one. So I'm hovering over citizen science. I'm going to go down to the Loss and Management Survey. If you have heard that honeybees are dying in North America, and you've heard of colony collapse disorder, and you've heard that we're losing 40% of our colonies, and you've heard that it's this or that that's killing bees, that's because you've read reports from the Bee Informed Partnership. Most people don't know this, but all the information that we have about bee losses come from the Bee Informed Partnership. So if you hover over citizen science and click on Loss Management Survey, you're going to get to this page. And you're going to see every loss report since the loss reports started happening in 2007. The beauty of this page is it's pretty incredible. Here's a lot of loss reports. One of the beauties is they even do it by the United States. If I hover, let me click on the United States, for example. It brings up a map of the US. If I hover over Florida, our loss rates last winter, so winter of 2018, 2019, I guess that was 2 winters ago, our loss rates in Florida were 17.6%. If I change that to summer, which you can do, it'll tell you the loss rates in Florida for summer. You can go down here and look at it by state. You can figure it out by year. You can figure it out by season. You can figure it out by operation. Are hobbyists, commercial beekeepers, or sideliners losing more or fewer colonies? You even have the power elsewhere on this page to click on states, and it will tell you what beekeepers are saying are the chief reasons for the losses of their colonies. So everything we know about bee losses comes from the Bee Informed Partnership, and they put all of their data online for free. Not only do they do that, but if I go back and hover over citizen science and go down to Mite Check, here's an app you can download where you upload your information about mites that you're seeing, and they have a nationwide mite population database so that you can see how mite populations are growing or shrinking throughout the year all over the country. And if that's not enough, you can hover over citizen science and go down to hive monitors and click on it, and it'll talk about joining the hive monitor program, where you can purchase hive monitors and they'll monitor your colonies remotely and collate your data and give you feedback. All of this is stuff that's for you. If you hover over services, you can subscribe to the tech transfer team, or they'll send people to your apiary on a routine basis to check your colonies. You can purchase diagnostic kits and send to them to determine disease and pest response, and on and on and on. There's a blog you can join. They give a lot of free educational seminars. For example, identification of adult honeybee diseases is coming up July 23rd. That was today, I suppose. And it was about a 1-hour presentation. It was recorded and placed online. If you want to know about Varroa, the last week's was recorded and placed online. If you want to know about what pollen can tell you, it was recorded and placed online. Or how to do hygienic testing, it was recorded and placed online. And BIP uses data. I want to stress that. It's data-based. It's not hearsay or what I feel. It's all based on numbers. And I found the Bee Informed Partnership by Googling Bee Informed Partnership. So go out here, hang out, and see what all that they have for you. So that's the second website. So I'm going to go back to Google. I'm going to bring this up, and now I'm going to show you a third website, E-Extension Honeybee Health. Now, I work for the University of Florida. University of Florida is a land-grant institution. That means we have responsibilities in teaching, research, and extension. And extension is where we teach non-credit paying individuals. You are not currently paying for credits to take a course with me, and I'm teaching you, so I am engaged in extension right now. Every state has at least one, if not two, land-grant institutions. In Florida, that's the University of Florida. In Florida A&M. In Georgia, that's the University of Georgia. And I think Fort Valley. Yeah, in North Carolina, it's NC State. At Tennessee, it's the University of Tennessee. In Alabama, it's Auburn, and so forth. All of the land-grant institutions have come together to create a one-stop shop clearinghouse for extension information. And they call that website E-Extension. So you can go to E-Extension and find out information about turf and citrus and blueberries and poultry and budgeting and whatever. But you can also go to E-Extension and find national resources from labs just like mine related to honeybees and beekeeping. And you find it by Googling E-Extension, which is really just the word extension with a capital X, E-Extension Honeybee Health. So let's try that out. E-Extension Honeybee Health. E-Extension Honeybee Health. I pressed enter and look at my first option, Bee Health E-Extension. So I click on that, and remember, this is supposed to be the clearinghouse for land-grant institutions like UF, where if you go to it, you can find a lot of information about bees and beekeeping. In fact, it's supposed to work so much that if you Google something in the search box that they have on their page, it's supposed to route you to your nearest land grants information related to that topic. That would be my lab, right? All right. So I hover over Honeybee Health. They have information on bee biology, African bees, small hive beetles, Varroa. And listen, this is created by people just like me. It's my colleagues around the country working at land grants. And we have to use data, just like BIP. We cannot use feelings or opinions. So the bee health community of practice is supposed to be data-based information related to bees and beekeeping, tracheal mites, foul brood, nosema. If you hover over beekeeping, videos on first lessons in beekeeping, basic beekeeping techniques, advanced beekeeping techniques, and so on. Some of the research links that it has, tons of videos about honeybees and beekeeping that they have. It's just a huge wealth of information. I'm scrolling down and it just gives you all kinds of information. It's probably the least beautiful of all the websites that I'm going to show you tonight, but it is chock full of information related to bees, beekeeping, lots and lots of free resources, documents, videos, presentations. If you can think of it, it's probably here. So for example, I'm going to hover over videos and go to a year in the life of an apiary. I'm from Georgia, proudly from Georgia. I went to the University of Georgia, like the Georgia Bulldogs. And when I was at the University of Georgia, I worked in the bee lab of Keith Delaplane, who is essentially the Jamie Ellis of Georgia. He manages the bee program at the University of Georgia the same way I manage the bee program here. And when I was a kid, Keith Delaplane had videos on all kinds of things about beekeeping, and I used to watch them every Saturday. They'd come on our public television. Well, all of those videos are online and free. How to build equipment, you know, and just own and own and own. It's just tons of information at the Bee Health e-extension website. All right, so that's the third website. So I've told you about my website. I've told you about the Bee Informed Partnership. I've just shown you the e-extension website. I'm going to go back to Google. I'm going to say that I'm moving on from the e-extension health website, and I am moving to the Honeybee Health Coalition website. So Honeybee Health Coalition. So I am going to Google Honeybee Health Coalition, and I'm the world's worst speller, so that's the beauty of Google, is it makes up for all the problems that I interject. All right, so I'm going to press enter, Honeybee Health Coalition, and looky, the very first option is the Honeybee Health Coalition. I click on it. This is a research-based website. Have you heard me say that own and own and own about the websites that I'm pointing it out? It's not me as a beekeeper, you know, saying, well, you know, I've got all these experiences, so here it is, but kind of looking narrow because I'm only telling you my experiences. These are culminations of experiences from beekeepers around the U.S. with representing thousands of colonies of data, and own and own and own and own and own. So the Honeybee Health Coalition is similar. So you can learn about them here, about the coalition, how we help bees, how you can help the situation, etc. I love this website. If you hover over how we help bees, you will see they've got information on forage and nutrition, hive management, crop management, tools and resources, varroa management, etc. So I'm going to click on the second one, hive management. All right. They give you information about managing colonies. They give you this is a free document, best management practices for bee health. It's basically a free guide on how to keep bees the healthy way. You can click here and get it for free. You can click here and get a document on identifying, mitigating foul brood. You can click here to learn about other beekeeping a variety of other beekeeper vetted resources. So this is basically a resource for resources. The other thing that there's other things, you know, like I said, forage and nutrition, so on. The thing I love best from the Honeybee Health Coalition, though, all I've done is hover over how we help bees. I'm going to scroll down to Varroa management. I click on it, and it's taking you to the world's best resources related to Varroa management. There simply is no other guide better than the one here. I have read them all, or most of them all, and I can tell you in fact, this is so good that I'm not producing a Varroa guide because it's hard to beat the best. So as I scroll down, the first thing you need to see is the word free. Everything on this page, this website for that matter, is free. There is the world's best PDF on how to control Varroa. It goes through treatment options. It tells you how well they work. It tells you how to sample. And if you use the strategies laid out therein, it will tell you how to make decisions about sampling. And in case you're struggling with how to make decisions about sampling, they've built a decision management support tool to help you think that through. And they're so adamant about getting this information out to beekeepers that they made a narrated PowerPoint presentation that you can download and show at your local bee club. The very point of this thing right here, is to download the presentation and show it to your club members. And if you don't like to read and you don't like decision support tools and you don't want to go to your bee club to watch that, everything that they put in this document, they developed a video for to explain it to you. Will Varroa kill my bees? How do I sample for Varroa? Does Hop Guard work, or essential oils, or formic acid, or Apivar, or a sanitation, or queens, or oxalic acid, etc.? All of the stuff that they highlight in the guide, they make a video for that is free for you to download and watch. And that's just the Varroa resources. The Honeybee Health Coalition is constantly coming out with new free information for beekeepers, all of this being research and science vetted and based. So that's the fourth website. I'm going to go back to the document and remind you that I told you about the University of Florida website, the Bee Informed Partnership website, the E-Extension website, and the Honeybee Health Coalition website. Now I want to introduce you to BeeMD. Probably many of you are familiar with WebMD. You probably have diagnosed your own problems 50,000 times, and we have developed a tool similar to WebMD. We call it the BeeMD. So I Google BeeMD, literally one word, B-E-E-M-D. The very first option for me is the BeeMD symptom checker, and I click on this. Now, here's the deal, guys. I had this idea in 2011, I believe, and talked with some colleagues at a meeting about it. Dennis Van Ingelsdorp, University of Maryland, Debbie Delaney, University of Delaware. The three of us and a few others got together and created this website with support from USDA, APHIS, and others. And if you know about the WebMD, you can go online and click different symptoms that you're experiencing, and you can press enter, and then it shows you a number of matches for the symptoms that you choose. This website works the same way for bees. So let me run through an example for you. Let's say I'm going to seed you with this information. Let's say that I've got American foul brood in my colony, but I don't know that. So while I'm inspecting my colony, I see sunken cappings, holes in the cappings, and scales in the cells, the brood cells. All three of those are signs of American foul brood, but I don't know that, right? So I go to the home page. It says, where is the condition occurring? Everything that I see is happening in the brood. So I click on brood. Is it happening with uncapped cells? Well, it's not really, because I'm seeing sunken cappings and perforated cappings. So I'm going to choose capped brood cells. Then it gives you a list of things. Are the cappings domed? No, not really. Are they large? No, not really. Do they have black debris? I don't really think so. Are multiple cells partially uncapped? Well, maybe. Yeah, I do stick a rope stick in and twist it around and pull it out, and it's kind of snotty. It is kind of spotty brood pattern now that I'm in there and that I see. Are the brood calving? Yeah, there's that small hole that I was just telling you guys about. I'm going to click on that. Let's see here. Scattered, sunken cappings. Yeah, definitely saw that. And let's say, oh, perforated cappings for sure. So let's say that that's all I can remember. I'm going to push diagnose condition, and I have an 83% match with American foul brood. I scrolled down, and it gave me a 50% match with Tropolelaps, which isn't present in the US, so I know it can't be that. A 50% match with Varroa, a 50% match with sac brood, and so on. So how do I determine which of these it is? Well, we provide a mess load of text for you to read and say, listen, if it's this, you might see these other things. And we give you examples of pictures that you can click on and say, hey, I noticed perforated and sunken cappings, but now that I've read this, it's told me to go back and look for snotty brood, and it's told me to go back and look for the pupal tongue. You go back and do that and find it, and you go, aha, it's American foul brood. Or no, I didn't see the pupal tongue. I didn't get it to rope out. We don't have tropolaelaps. But yeah, I did see these little red things on pupae. Oh, I must have Varroa. The beauty of the BMD is that it was developed in such a way that it will even lead you to a match of it's okay, right? Everybody wants to go to these things and find problems, but sometimes what you're seeing is just normal, right? A good example that I always have is bearding. I always get phone calls and emails this time of year because colonies are bearding. And so bearding happens outside the hive. So let's just say I'm a concerned beekeeper and see a cluster of bees on the nest entrance. Where is it happening? On the bottom board? No. The box? No. The feeder jar? No. The ground? No. The hive body? No, it's on the landing board. It's not really this. So I'd go back and choose some other things. And then you could work your way down to a potential list of matches that you can read the information about and help make a decision. We're trying to make this better. We're trying to load in more resources, more images, more information, more choices. We're trying to categorize it better. And it's our desire within the next year to 2 years to make this an app so that you can be out in the field with your smartphone and say, I'm seeing something. Let me go through this checklist now. You go through that checklist and it says, hey, it might be American foul brood. Check out for these other things and see if you see them as well. So the BMD is supposed to be developed in a way to help you guesstimate what's going on in your colonies. Again, it's not perfect. It's no substitute for sending samples off, et cetera, but it can really help a lot of beekeepers diagnose some of the issues that they're having in their colonies. And we've tried to just make it as simple as possible. Again, the universities involved, University of Delaware, University of Florida, University of Maryland. And here are some funding partners, Pollinator Partnership, APHIS being formed, and NAPSI. So this is something that keeps getting better. We have meetings about it seemingly all the time, and we hope to refine it and make it an even better resource for you. All right. So that's the 5th website I was going to show you. So let me go back to Google. I'm going to pull up this Word document. I'm going to remind you, I just showed you the BMD. Now, the last one that I want to show you is a little tricky. Remember, the University of Florida is a land-grant institution. So I showed you early on how to find my bee lab. Well, many, not all, but many other universities that are land grants have bee programs as well. And I shared with you the best place to start looking for that is through the e-extension webpage. Because let's face it, our lab is not the only lab that produces good stuff. University of Georgia does, Auburn does, and so forth, right? Lots of labs do. So another trick to help you find really good resources is Google search for any land-grant institution, not literally those words, but literally put the name of a land-grant in there. So land-grant institution, honeybee. So let me give you an example. University of Georgia, honeybee, enter. Look, the University of Georgia's honeybee program is the first option, and here's all of their information about bees and beekeeping. Let's go back to Google. Let's say you're an Alabama person and you know that Auburn is the land-grant institution in Alabama. Auburn, honey, bee, enter. The very first option is the Bee Lab at Auburn. So you can get all the free resources that they have at the Auburn Bee Lab. Let's say you're a fan of South Carolina, not the university, but the state. You all know that Clemson is the land grant in South Carolina. So you'd Google Clemson honeybee and press enter. And you get Clemson's honeybee page. Let's say that you're in Pennsylvania. You know that Penn State is the honeybee lab or the land grant institution in Pennsylvania. So you Google Penn State honeybee and press enter. And when you do, You get all of Penn State's resources and own and own and own. So the trick is to put your land-grant institution of choice and Honeybee, and you're going to find all the resources created by staff or faculty at that land-grant about bees and beekeeping. So there's a wealth of I mean, if every state has a land-grant and 2/3 of those land-grants have bee programs like mine, then there's mess loads of information that you can find. So what I want to remind you is I've showed you my lab, right? The Bee Informed Partnership, the E-Extension Honeybee Health page, the Honeybee Health Coalition page, the BMD page, and I've even told you how to do a cheat to find lots of other universities' honeybee information. The last thing I'm going to tell you before I open it up for question and answer is that for my own particular lab, we also run a mess load of social media. We do Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and you can find all of those by following my lab at UF Honeybee Lab, at UF Honeybee Lab. So if you do that on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you'll be able to get really quick up-to-dates. I think we tend to post stuff nearly every day of the working week, sometimes on weekends. So there's a lot of information that we deliver through our free social media accounts. So you can follow my lab at UF Honeybee Lab. So what I want to do now is I've been speaking for right at about 42 minutes. I want to leave this up here so that you know what resources you should be searching for. You know that you can follow my lab at UF Honeybee Lab. I invite you to give our podcast a try, the Master Beekeeper Program a try. I invite you to just join us for a few weekends in August. Remember, we're offering bee courses every weekend the month of August. They start not this Saturday, but the following Saturday. That would be August the 1st. Look at these resources that I've highlighted for you. Spend some time surfing around those, and you can learn a lot about bees and beekeeping. And hey, if you find resources that you really, really like, you can post some of that stuff, towards us on our social media accounts. Hey, Jamie mentioned these, but we really found this resource that we like, and then we'll be aware of it and can point other beekeepers to it as well. So I know that was a long, not how to keep bees talk, but what I've spent a lot of time doing is showing you how to find information that will help you be better beekeepers, regardless of the level of beekeeper that you are at the moment. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to open it up for questions. And I know that questions via Zoom can be real tricky because people will often try to talk over one another. So what I encourage you to do is put your questions in the chat box, and I will try to read some of those questions and answer them in the chat box, if that's okay with the leaders of the group. So I'm going to start at the top, and some of those have been answered in your pre-stuff. Let's see here. Let's see here. UF has a lot of agriculture extension locations, but are you located live in Hogtown? Okay. So that was one specifically to me. I work out at the University of Florida in Gainesville. That's right. And every county in the state of Florida has its own extension office. We got a comment. Love the podcast. Glad that you do. Someone here said, listen to them, all of them. Love me and Amy. Amy is a great find. She joined us almost exactly a year ago and has been fantastic. She manages our extension programs and helps put our podcast together. So any questions you guys want to put for me in your question box, and I'll do my best to answer them. You guys are making it easy. There's no questions. Maybe you don't have to ask questions now because all the information that I showed you, you can find those answers yourself directly. All right, great. If no questions, let's see here. I think this worked great. 2 months, right? How is the Bee Lab doing and what's going on in the world? All right, let's see here. How's the Bee Lab doing? We're doing okay. The odd thing is, as you likely know, the University of Florida essentially closed its campus, I think somewhere around the 3rd week of March. So my team and I have mostly been working from home the last 4 months. we have been able to get our researchers back into the lab about 4 weeks ago, and we're expanding our research presence. We were able to work the bees throughout the entire 4-month period, but we were not allowed, we literally were not permitted to conduct research until about 4 or 6 weeks ago. So we're ramping up our research program again, but we haven't skipped a beat with our instruction and extension programs. I've been giving just as many talks to beekeepers, maybe more than I have before. So yeah, we've been able to do some really great things, even though we've all been working from home. So for example, I've been podcasting from home. Amy's been podcasting from home. We've been doing talks from home, developing courses, writing papers. So a lot's been going on, but we're slowly phasing back into the lab now. So thanks for asking. Any new developments in the fight against small hive beetles? Honestly, small hive beetles are one of those things that are frozen in time. I don't know a lot of people in the U.S. working on them anymore because they're not really considered a significant issue for most beekeepers. So right now, the best strategy still are to trap them with standard traps like those traps that hang between frames, or the ones that go on bottom boards, and keeping colonies strong and healthy, because otherwise there haven't really been any major control studies on small hive beetles. People are focusing heavily on nutrition, nosema, varroa, pesticides, and other things like that. That's a good question. Have I been seeing or hearing about specific issues this summer? I'm not sure what specific issues you might be referring to, but summer usually brings along some of the crud, that kind of weird brood disease that we see. We have varroa populations escalating throughout summer. I mean, now's really a time that you should be concerned significantly about varroa. Your bees soon, the next month or so, will be making the bees that are going to carry the colonies through winter. Not that winter's overly significant in central or southern Florida, but nevertheless, you really have got to have varroa populations under control the next few months to make sure that your bees are healthy. We've had some dearths in certain places around summer, but otherwise it seems like a pretty normal summer. Well, let's see here. Gosh, this is outpacing me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my share, and I'm going to try to read it this way. All right, let's see here. Am I seeing lots of Nosema serrana? I can be honest, my team and I always see Nosema serrana. The only time we have to find it is when we look for it. Every time I look for it, I find it. Almost every colony we go into has it. So yes, we do see quite a bit of Nosema serrana. What's the best nectar plants to plant for a year-round nectar source? Well, there's not a lot of great ones that provide year-round, but you can really hit a lot of them that you can piece together a yearly pollen and nectar flow for you. And in our Melitophiles management calendar, we have plants for central and southern Florida, as well as North Florida, that are good nectar and pollen producers. So I encourage you to sign up for the Melitophiles blog, check out our management calendar, and you'll see stuff that are in bloom, that stuff that's in bloom a given month. And you would just want to make sure and have some of that stuff, year round, because there's a lot of information in there. And also, I would encourage other listeners right now, if you've got ideas about plants that you can plant in your area that are good nectar producers during your standard off seasons, you might put that in the chat box. Let's see here. What do you mean by the crud? That's a really good question. The crud is basically a name that people have given to a brood disease that they don't understand. Oftentimes, coming out of the major nectar flow, sometimes, around May or June, colonies start getting brood that dies in large amounts, and they can't explain it. They'll say they've got their varroa under control. They'll say that a lot of other stuff's under control. We're actually trying to look at this at the moment. We've processed a few samples. Colleagues have processed a few samples. A lot of commercial beekeepers who see it think that it's related to maybe some of the foul brood, so they'll treat it with antibiotics. We often see European foul brood present in high amounts when we run into the crud, as it were. But yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's this strange brood disease that we don't fully understand, and it tends to rear its ugly head this time of year. Are there effective treatments against Nosema serrana? Well, unfortunately, no, and maybe yes. And what do I mean by that? Fumagillin is the active ingredient of a product that's sold to control Nosema serrana, and it works. for some beekeepers and not others. And what I mean by that is we've done a few studies in Florida to try to control nosema with fumagillin and can't get spore counts to go down. But I have colleagues in the rest of the country who will tell me that fumagillin works quite good against nosema. So at the lab, we don't treat for it. And it's funny, there were some commercial beekeeper surveys a few years ago in Florida where about half of the commercial beekeepers treated with fumagillin and wouldn't think about not doing it. And the other half thought that it was unnecessary. The guy who, Dr. Cameron Jack at our lab, did his master's degree on nosema and also has reason to believe that fumagillin didn't work in a lot of the studies that he was looking at. So that's a really interesting question. You know, I would argue that there's nothing that's predictably good against nosema, although people are looking for it. Let's see here. Is there work being done to learn what pollens do not have all the essential amino acids? Australia appears to have a complete list. So there are some places in the United States where they're looking at pollens. I know the USDA lab in, where is it? It's the one in Tucson, Arizona. They spent a lot of time on honeybee nutrition, and I've seen some proposals from them recently to look at assessing the nutritional qualities of the various pollens. I think that that would be a really cool thing to do. It would be a fantastic nationwide project to look at all the major pollen resources that honeybees use and try to do nutritional profiles. It's just not been done. You're right, the Australians seem to be ahead. Let's see here. Are we any closer to finding a permanent solution to Varroa? I will tell you right now, the industry standard is to use amitraz. My lab, we are screening new compounds all the time. I don't really want to tell you too much because I don't want to get your hopes up, but we did find a couple of compounds that were magnitudes better than amitraz, but we still have a lot of work to do on them. And we have to have it vetted, and it's, you know, there's just a lot to go through, but we're trying to do high throughput screening in our lab for new compounds for Varroa control. Let's see here. I've heard recommending the heating box. I'm aware of the heating strategy to control Varroa. Unfortunately, the product made it to market before the data made it to market. Now, the companies will say that there's a few of these types on the market. The companies will say that they've got data showing that these things work. I just do not often see independent studies of it. I know Dr. Umberto Boncristiani from our lab did a little bit of work with some and didn't see reduced Varroa counts in it, but some people use them and claim that they work quite well. So I would say the jury's still out. There's just not enough data. Let's see here. We have some club members lose a large number of bees in a single hive, but others are fine. Varroa does not seem to be the issue. Yeah, I mean, this time of year, there can be lots of potential issues. Varroa is one of the leading causes, but you mentioned that you don't think it is in this case. There's viruses. There can be poor nutrition amounts. There can be some, this crud, some of these cryptic things that I've talked about. Some people might get pesticide exposure where it can take out populations of bees or adult bees. If you have a colony collapse quickly and you see a lot of carcasses, it's usually related to a pesticide exposure. So, you know, sometimes those are a possibility. Does oxalic acid vaporization work for Varroa? Yes, but not at the labeled rate. So Dr. Cameron Jack in the lab, as part of his Ph.D. dissertation, actually did 2 studies on this. In both studies, the labeled rate did not work. In other words, the amount that you can legally apply doesn't do enough to kill enough Varroa. He did find an amount that does work and will be publishing it soon, but since it's not a labeled rate, I can't talk to you about it. What we're going to do is we're going to try to use these data to convince the manufacturer and the EPA that the label needs to be changed to accommodate a rate that will actually work. And oxalic acid, of course, works better in colonies that have little to no brood so that the maximum number of Varroa get exposed to it. I write a monthly column for the American Bee Journal. It's the question and answer series for the American Bee Journal. It's called The Classroom, and I've only been doing it since January, and I've written through September. So what is that, 9 months? And without question, the question I get most is related to oxalic acid. People just want to know all about that. All right. What is the name of the promising Varroa treatment? It's a compound that I cannot share with you at the moment. I'm sorry. Even if I told you, you wouldn't have access to it because it only exists in a couple of labs. But I'm not at liberty to share it. We're screening compounds at the moment, and we're trying to push this compound to tier 2. And like I said, please don't get your hopes up. These things take a long time to manifest. But we're setting up a full-time screening assay in our lab where we are running compounds through all the time to find new active ingredients that work against Varroa. Is there a pollen color chart for Central Florida? Not that I'm aware of, but I think that that would be a fantastic Master Beekeeper Program, Master Beekeeper project. It would be even a great local bee club project. And it's funny, when I come to the Pinellas Beekeepers, I always get questions about bloom, pollen, and what's available. And I even get told many times that I need to create a bloom calendar specific to that area. And what I would submit to you is what we really need to do is work with Amy Vu, the extension coordinator in my lab, to develop a statewide bloom tool, just like that mite checker from the Bee Informed Partnership, where you can go online and say, hey, I just saw palmetto blooming today, June 21st. Today is the first day it's blooming in our area. And if enough beekeepers did that around the state, we would get accurate bloom maps. We would be able to upload information about what flowers we see bees visiting, and we could even start to add things like pollen color charts over time. I think we just need the data platform to do that. I think it would be a fantastic project for someone someday, but that's a great question. I tell you what, I'll take 2 more questions because then I'll have gone for an hour and you guys will be tired, surely tired of hearing of me and from me. So 2 more questions. Let's see. Good. We get someone endorsing the idea of bloom maps in a Florida beekeeper book. Fantastic. I will tell Amy that tomorrow, and now we just have to find somebody to fund it. A recent in the hive, they found high temps cause a decrease in sperm viability. There's no question that temperatures that are too high can cause problems for bees. If you remember, I told you guys to go to my lab webpage and you go to Beekeeper Resources, then you click on Honeybee Biology. Under that is a document on thermoregulation. And in that document, I talk about the impacts that high temperatures can have on bees, on brood development, and things like that. So certainly if bees are not able to thermoregulate and the nest temperature gets too high, it can impact sperm quality, it can impact development success, and all of these other things. That's a good question. Kim says, I'd be willing to work on a bloom site. That's cool. We will need all the help we can get. It will only work well if lots and lots and lots of people do it. All right. You guys have been a fantastic audience. I hope you use the resources. What's the best temperature? It's about 95 degrees. That's what the bees want. But it's been my pleasure talking to you. Use these resources. Use my lab website. Listen to 2 Bees in the podcast. Join us at the Bee College in August. And again, it's my pleasure, my team's pleasure to serve you. Please let us know if there's any way we can help you. And at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to Johnny. Thanks everyone for joining me tonight. I hope that even though the title of the talk was boring, I hope you learned something you can use tonight. You guys take care, stay safe, and happy beekeeping.
Jamie, thank you very much. We really appreciate you taking your time and taking this time to come speak with us. We know your family and all, but we appreciate that. Sorry we couldn't do a dinner with you and whoever you brought this time.
Next time, I'll hold you to it next time.
We're already looking forward to having you speak again.
Perfect. You guys take care. It's my pleasure.
I hope you guys stay healthy and well.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Johnny.
All right. So just to throw back out there that we are going to be Saturday morning at the bee yard about 8 and 10. We're looking for people to sign up. We are going to be doing some Facebook Live out there. I believe Derek's going to be working with me in video and some of that. If we can get it set up, we're going to try. Come dressed appropriately, some long sleeves, preferably some long pants, even though Derek doesn't wear long pants. Some closed-toed shoes. We have hats and veils. We're going to open up some hives. We're going to put a couple nooks into hive bodies. We're going to split a couple hive bodies. There's just no telling what all we might get into. We found some queens last time. We had some great looking brood, some beautiful white wax last month. We're expecting some more. Just a good time to be here. Last month was a pretty day. I'm hoping the weather is a little permittable for us on Saturday morning. If nothing else, maybe in the morning we can get it over with before we have any real problems. We're going to try. Great Bay will be getting back to something as soon as we can possibly work something out with our health and all. And when we start opening more stuff back up. I did want to mention real quick, Linda, if you would unmute.
I'm right here. Hi, everyone.
So would you take just a moment and tell us about Gloria, the bee?
About Glory? I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
I have, am releasing it originally started out as a blog, and the first couple of people who read it said it was a book. So I created a book, one chapter at a time, that's on our website, glorybeefarm.com. And the story is called The Education and Adventures of Glory, a Honeybee. And it is an adventurous educational story about a honeybee. And we have released it as a book form on the website, and I also do a podcast every week. In fact, it's interesting because I just saw the University of Florida, Jamie's podcast this past week. I didn't even know about it, and I was listening to it this week. They released theirs within a week of when we started releasing the story about Glory. So I just finished the book about 2 weeks ago. We've released 27 chapters. We release one chapter a week, and we're really super excited about it. She's an adorable honeybee, and they're a lot of fun, and it's very, very educational, and it's broken down so that you can, as a beginning beekeeper, a seasoned beekeeper, a beekeeper with children or grandchildren, you can read the story or listen to the story. And I wrote all the text. I wrote all the text. I do all the bee voices on the podcast and do all the recording here. And Angela, our webmaster, has been a huge creative partner in this. And of course, my little mama there, Fran, the second generation beekeeper, is right there with the yellow Pinellas Beekeeper shirt on. Hi, Mama. So you can check out Glory. It's glorybeefarm.com. Have fun with it and let me know what you think. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you.
Glory can't wait to see you.
And the other thing I did want to put out is next month's podcast is with mosquito control from Pinellas County. I know it sounds a little dry. They're a great group. They are really 100% behind the beekeepers. They are really pro-bee. They go way out of their way to help in beekeeping and in the county. They're a great resource to us. They're definitely worth watching and finding out more and registering your bees with them. You need to register your bees with the mosquito control people too. So you need to be registered with the state. It doesn't cost anything to register with the mosquito control, but you'll hear more about that next month. Is there anything else, Nathan, that I am possibly missing? I know I couldn't have caught everything.
I think you got it all pinned down there. I did just check the sign up for Saturday. See if you are going to have a full house. It looks like.
Right. Jennifer, I saw you were on there. Have you got off, or did I miss anything since you're still straggling around following us?
I have a question.
Oh,
I'm still here.
yes, dear.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Do you think we can arrange to have a special drawing, like have mail everybody 5 tickets, and then those that send it back in could be in a drawing for some of our wonderful presents? I think we're missing an opportunity here. Maybe you could put it on your agenda. Huh?
I think that's because you win a lot.
Well, of course, but look how much I spent. My allowance is burning a hole in my pocket, guys.
Oh.
Well, anyway, keep it in mind for a money raiser,
Okay.
fundraiser.
We'll
We
talk
will.
about it at the next business meeting as a fundraiser. We'll bring that up. Does that sound good? That make you happy?
Yes,
And thank you, Fran. You're a sweetheart.
you're welcome.
So I believe we've pretty well covered everything. I'm already looking forward. I got to tell you, from year to year, I always look forward to Jamie coming back. I'm always looking forward for him coming back. This was a little bit different talk, as y'all well know. I'm not Mr. Computer. I am excited about a few of these sites. I want to go on and do some of my own research on. He is a wealth of knowledge, and it's just unbelievable the information that they've put out over the years, and will continue to, as I well know. So I believe at this time we're going to go ahead and call the meeting an end, and go ahead and start drawing out. But thank you all for coming, and looking forward to seeing next month when we have mosquito control on. And don't forget to come in early for the newbie meeting at 7. So thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Nathan, I'd like to thank you. I think you did a great job monitoring and moving stuff around.